Greetings there, virtual farmers and crafters. Thank y'all for clicking. I hope you are doing well today. Our tour is brought to you by a viewer request from the Garden Paws Discord. It's a zoo, literally. So if you enjoyed the song in the video intro, that's Lindau, a theme song which plays in the opening scenes of Eastshade, a relaxing painter type game that I've featured previously on the channel. This building challenge, though, today involves utilizing every animal species available in the game. I've gone and created some randomly decorated exhibits to fill up the landscape around the large waterfall and campgrounds area of the Florence in a zoo-like fashion. Now, feel free to snag any of the ideas for your own build if you like them. This was done in creative mode with the help of a mod to spawn a few extra items that haven't made it into the creative menu yet. Growing this many flowers would have otherwise taken ages, as if I figured the whole thing would look a lot more fun with some splashes of color. Per usual, I said this wasn't going to be a big build, and then it turned out to be one anyway, since the plans started just spinning off into all kinds of directions. I started with the main exhibition hall, meant for small creatures, aquatic friends, and insects. This two-floor structure is an open-air style, and it's wrapped in a staircase that branches out to several other exhibit areas. This includes using rope bridges as a front crossway to the top floor for a better view of the owl habitat that's hanging from the ceiling. For those interested in roughly constructing a copy of this, I'll throw in a short tutorial at the end in super speed mode to save you the boredom of the hour that it took of shifting pieces around. But for now, I'm running around like a tourist in my own creative mode because the view is just as fun from down here as it is in the drone camera mode. The main exhibition hall entrance has a directory map right here, and the zoo's souvenir store is off to the left. If we follow this outer hallway, it leads into the butterfly garden habitat. Those are small wall displays there with the fairy wings mounted all over the walls, and in case you are wondering where the wall decor came from, they are a very lovely addition to any build, and you can use them in tons of ways. Now, onto the opposite side of the structure that has displays on collections of pets and beetles, along with the sweet stinker skunks and their hedgehog pals. Well, and that's not all. If you head to the upper floor's main display for all the other small woodland mammals, like the forest fox and the chipmunks, are in the greenhouse exhibit. Don't forget to look up. The snow owls have their homes hanging from the rafters. All around the outside deck areas have even more aquariums and insects exhibits lined around the walkway. I feel like the only thing missing here is the parrots. But I digress and on with the tour. But now, which direction to go is the question. How about let's go check out the rabbit habitat first, which is located out the front entrance. I was trying to replicate most zoos that I've ever been to, where each animal habitat has its own like visitor viewing area, like this little one here. I wanted to give the place a nice park-like atmosphere and put the real estate to work. There's fluff everywhere out here, of all different colors and sizes to match with the pastel lavender blooms surrounding the beach. These bunnies get to take up a little section along the water in close proximity to the Axolotl play paradise. And for this, I went with a full custom aquarium setup using glass walls and foundations. This gives the little salamander species a proper home for living and catching its dinner, while the visitor area puts one up close enough to interact with the very unique amphibian species named after an Aztec god. This area also marks the opening of a small river that runs from the waterfall all along this area that has been decorated with ducks to make sure that we don't leave out those feathered friends from our build challenge. The wooden bridge blueprints can bring a lot of decoration and also a lot of function to a garden build like this. The pack of blueprints that includes the wooden arched bridge, wooden tunnel, and rope bridge can be purchased from Roman once his blueprint stand has been unlocked through Frank's upgrade table. Pieces can be painted in different colors using the furniture brushes for a customized look. This wooden tunnel gets used on a regular basis as a fishing shack, or in this case, a small animal housing like the one that's embedded up there in the cliffside for the mountain goats. Wooden foundations and platforms are chained together with rope bridges in the climb up to this habitat, giving the visitors a view of the large waterfall on the island of Florence. Below the goats in the mining cave is the resident bears taking up space in a large habitat. Bees included, because why not? There's lots of space to get creative with how we craft our gardens. Scrolling through the decoration and furniture section in the player creative mode inventory can sometimes help along the idea process for what to do. There's several fountains, a well, and decorative rocks that can help create some infrastructure pathing. Hedges and small shrubs with topiaries are great for littering everywhere. Now, following along the pathway lined in lavender for the viewing area for the deer, elk, and other cute woodland animal helpers like the chipmunk, which will harvest fruits from nearby trees, leaving it behind in a hollowed out log for you to collect when convenient. I'm using a combination of specific game habitats, as well as the stone paw animal displays which can be purchased from Sierra's shop after finishing her starter quest line. The individual paw print displays hold on an animal, and unlike keeping an animal in a habitat, they won't generate any daily item drops. It does allow us to place animals in very exact spaces where they'll stay animated but stuck in place. Moving on past the deer gardens to the next stop in the tour. One bonus I've found of using creative mode is the jetpack found in the tool menu. Adding one of these to the character's back clothing slot gives unlimited flight power for easy building or travel to our destinations. Which is the outdoor seating area and turtle habitat. Again, here there's another wooden tunnel backed up into an existing cliffside to create a little housing. Lots of stone decor for the appearance of a patio, and a picnic area for the little grill stand where visitors can grab a bite while watching the turtles go on about their daily life. If you look above, there's a network of wooden platforms and rope bridges which connect the park together from the main exhibition hall. Right along the grill spot is a chill spot, where I've included more decorations that can be made using the RAM printer with your excess gatherables. Beyond those options, you can add recipe foods into the scene by using a wooden storage crate that's hidden within another piece of furniture, and it looks about like this. I recommend going with the wooden end table for this application, but it also works with the light wood long table by stacking crates at the bottom of the shelf to display a crafted item on top. If we look over the deck, there's still about half the zoo left to explore, so on we go onto the petting zoo portion. The resident alpacas have their own setup, and right next door is a selection of the cutest baby animals in Garden Paws. We have a calf, a piglet, the tiny pink sheep. Then, when you head up the stairs of the petting zoo enclosure, there's a couple of ponies. I didn't leave the chicks out either. If we go passing through the hedge gate on the back of the park, there's a little hen house coop around the side. Well, let's backtrack for a moment here. Opposite the petting zoo facilities is a small grove area for the woodland fox and their kitsune relatives. It includes a couple of habitat stone caves, along with the flower fountains for fox bathing and playtime. I used some of the quarterstone decorations to create barriers and then lined them with flowers to create some basic landscaping effects rather than using all wooden fencing options. Since animals in garden paws don't go wandering off on their own, we can get away with not having to make them look all fenced in. Now, speaking of wandering, we're headed back to the main exhibition building to access the rest of the park views. Between the aquatic displays and the skunk pen, there's a hedge archway leading to the polar ice exhibit areas. This is where we find a collection of the game's penguin population. Pink, blue, big, small, and my favorite, the galaxy-clad penguin that can be obtained from Cosita Island. To get it, find the penguin sanctuary and deposit the required items if you want one of these too. Also included are the polar exhibit and Arctic foxes, polar bears, and the sparkling fox mount, which can also be obtained through Cosita Sanctuary completion. I did a floating island painted with the snow paintbrushes, stacked over the top of wooden platforms to create a staggered pile of penguin habitats with their own luxury swimming pool. I added in the snow-covered orange trees by burying a wood planter under the snow-painted foundations. You can use the item shifter to hide planters, or use the hammer to remove them entirely, and whatever you planted, tree or flowers, will remain in place after the planter is deleted back to your inventory. A little further walk down the rope bridge, looking off towards the interior of the park, is a garden tower structure for the smaller animals. Wooden platforms make up the base, which were then wrapped in hedge walls and rose trellis decorations layered over the top. Strings of paper lamps affixed to round wooden pillars create the lighting effects around the tower. Both varieties of log habitats are stacked all over the tower to house plenty of chipmunks and ferrets. Well, let's bounce a little further down this walkway to tropical environments that house the elephants and hippos. I could stretch this park just far enough to span some variations in the terrain. In creative mode, you can place the vegetation in trees that are usually for harvesting, but the palm trees aren't one of those options, so I was careful to preserve the ones available. The wooden tunnel and the barn habitat make up some of the housing surrounded by plenty of gardens and tropical fruits. A plush and comfortable visiting area was added to this wing because it's hard to stop building once I get started. That's how many of my projects end up being kind of large. Building in Garden Paws is still fun even after years of playing. Creative mode is a relaxing way to test out your ideas. You have to see if they'll come out looking like the way you want it before replicating it into story mode server that you've got a lot of time invested in. It helps me get an idea from my head to a virtual space in a much shorter time. And I can only imagine how many hours it would take to farm the materials for this project. Probably a few all-nighters would have to be done. Alright, insert short building tutorial here with a couple of blueprints for the layout on this main exhibit hall building. And if you have requests for builds that you'd like to see, leave them in suggestions in the comment and I'll try to make it happen. Not everything I've tried has worked, but it's part of the fun in making something even if it was unintended. I don't always start with a plan either. A few projects just happen by putting down pieces and finding whatever is in the menu to decorate. Someday, I'll have the discipline to look at modding again, to update the textures and sizes of custom objects that I've added. An amazing capability, Garden Paws has the flexibility to mod whatever you want into the game as far as buildable objects if you have the patience and the knowledge to do it. Some are far more advanced than I am, and you can find their work on the Steam Workshop under the Garden Paws community section. This includes the mod that I use to spawn the items not available in the creative menu, time travel, and regenerating my energy for endless planting. Want to know more about modding? I'll link that video in the corner above. But that's all for this video. I'll do some more touring of the zoo on the outro. Take care, y'all, and bye-bye!